Welcome back to another episode of the React Native Radio Podcast. Episode 364, AI Triforce with Gant Laborde.
So, Gant, what is that small thing doing behind you? What is that?
That's my child. No, I'm just kidding. This is it's an audio podcast. I could have said anything. It's a beach ball. It's a small infant red beach ball.
Teeny tiny beach ball.
It's adorable, isn't it?
Can you?
Yeah.
I can just imagine like 100 of those, like in the air, being like thrown around the auditorium at Chain React.
That's what we're good. Well, I would love to do this at Chain React as well. Where I'm going to be bringing these to Poland. It has a couple of.
Oh yeah, you're going to
a couple of
App.js.
benefits. Yeah,
You're not just going to App.js, Gant.
That's true. That's true.
You're speaking at App.js.
I'll be speaking at App.js. I'm excited, and then the beach ball will make more sense once you see my talk. But I think we should do this at Chain React as well. And we always bring fun swag. And fun fact, when you're going to Poland with swag, making sure it fits in a suitcase is extra important. So.
Okay, so a deflatable beach ball is actually brilliant.
Yep.
But does that mean you have to sit in your hotel room and blow them all up?
That's why he's bringing Frank and I, so that we do
That's
that.
100% why I got Mazen and Frank. Just that's their job. Is I'm going to be glad handing, and they'll be next to me, purple and blue, blowing up beach balls.
Basically.
I did buy a super small air blower, so
Okay.
We'll wait for talks that we don't like, and then rev that thing up and just
Just start blowing on their faces while they're speaking.
right. If you hear that going during your talk, sorry, not sorry.
And that's the beginning of the conference tour for the year, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've been to, so I keynoted recently at Dev Nexus, and I've spoken a couple local things, but yeah, App.js will be the next big one. And then after that, I'll be going to Chain React, and then I'll be going to KCDC this year, which will be another one.
KCDC.
KCDC.
Is that a rock band?
I thought so, but it turns out they're going to just make me give it 2 talks. So I'm going to do that instead.
Ooh.
Yeah, they picked me for 2. I was like, oh, well, that's
They're
one way
allowed
to
to
save
do
money.
that?
I generally don't let that happen, but last time I submitted to KCDC, they passed me over because I went for the leadership track. I put one of my keynote speeches in there for influence. And then I heard that was like the most difficult one to get in. So I decided, you know what, I'll throw in these other talks too. And they accepted 2 of them.
Well, that'll be a fun
Nice.
couple of days for you.
Yeah. My record is 3 at one conference.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
what? How many days was the conference?
It's a lot. So that was a 2-day conference. And what we did was I had the keynote on the second day. I had a regular talk on the first day. And then they brought me in they did PowerPoint karaoke, which was really fun. And so I had to do an impromptu talk in front of everybody on that one. And that was honestly my favorite one of the 3. And that was Connect Tech in 25.
That sounds like something you would do at Toastmasters, honestly.
Yeah. I would love to do that. I think it's really funny when you throw people in front of slides that they have no idea what's coming up.
Right. You did that to Jamin one time,
I
too.
did do that to Jamin. He did very well. But then he said, Gant, why does your mind work this way? The slides are crazy.
Again, that sounds very hectic, especially given more than one talk. I can't even imagine. And like for me, so I'm going to App.js with you, tagging along there along with Frank. And then Chain React, where at this point everyone knows I'm giving a talk, and it's already stressful planning one talk. So there goes that. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff planned for the rest of the year that I'm excited about. Nothing set in stone yet, but there's so many conferences out there, so many beautiful cities and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm really sad that we didn't get a chance, just the scheduling. We didn't get to go back to Cascadia in Seattle. What a fantastic conference. That was a really good one. And I really enjoyed that. And Cascadia has been a good friend of Chain React by far. And we also, I didn't get to go all things OpenAI with you again. It's just sometimes what this darn work thing gets in the way.
God dang.
I know. We should talk to some of the leadership at Infinite Red.
I think we should.
Not that you both are in leadership.
Yeah,
Like, somehow if we can scale back
we
work.
should try and do something about
That'd
that.
be nice.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it do anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Well, something that might help pay the bills is Chain React, though. So please get your tickets to Chain React, chainreactconf.com. Gant will be speaking. I'll be speaking. We have other speakers that will be there. Charlie Cheever from Expo. Seth Webster, also from Expo, will be giving a talk. And, he's also part of the React Foundation team over there.
We'll have Casper. We'll have one speaker from CallStack. We'll have people from Meta. By the way, the reason I know this is because I just looked at the list of approved final speakers, which we'll be slowly announcing soon. We have Microsoft. We have Amazon. We have a lot of really good people set up to not only have booths, but have talks, to have conversations. And there's some goodies and some interesting things coming everybody's way. So it's if you can go to Portland in the summer and have a good time with talking React Native, this is the way to do it.
I'm actually also going to lunch on Friday with one of our speakers. So that would be
Nice.
cool. Well, okay. Let's start transitioning into our topic. I'm Mazen. I'm your host, staff software engineer here at Infinite Red. Robin is my co-host, director of engineering here at Infinite Red also.
Hello.
And we have Gant.
Hello.
Gant, can you introduce ourselves to the 0 people listening that don't know who you are?
Yes, absolutely. We got things rock and roll. I've been coding for over 25 years professionally. It has been a passion of mine to be a mad scientist and nerd, while not just being part of it, but figuring out where the hockey puck is going, inventing things. I published my book on AI in 2020, which
you
was
were
learning
really
TensorFlow
ahead
JS.
of the curve there.
Sometimes being too early is just as bad as being late.
You're like, why is nobody interested in this right now? And
But
then
I'd give a talk and they'd be like, this is amazing. And I'd be like, you want to put it in your product? And they were like,
no, we don't need that AI.
they're like,
stuff.
well, yeah, like it sounds like a lot of extra work to add, to get involved and be ahead of everybody and be a disruptor in the industry. I think we're good at status quo. So that didn't work out for everybody. I think a lot of people now are trying to figure out too much. And now my talks have changed a lot to be more with security as you're integrating it, and also teams as you're integrating it, and kind of giving that future vision of what work looks like when you're working with AI.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming again on with us. Well, okay. We got a cool topic for you all. Before we get into our topic, let's hear from our sponsor.
Ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da. This is the part where Jen does some stuff right here.
Infinite Red. Infinite Red is a premier mobile app consultancy focused on Expo and React Native. We're a team of 30 that's located fully remote in the US with highly experienced mobile app developers. And we've been doing this for over a decade. We're also one of the first development teams to adopt agentic coding in a way that keeps high quality standards, while also being able to dive in and do things the old school way if we need to. If you're looking for mobile app, Expo, or React Native expertise for your next project, hit us up at infinite.red/contact. Thanks. And now back to the episode.
All right, let's get into our topic. Today's topic is AI, and we're specifically going to talk about AI Triforce. This is something that
Triforce? What's that?
this has something to do with an article you recently wrote, Gant, and it's something you and I actually have been working on. And I think this is something that you will be almost introducing to the world at App.js too. Whichever, I'm not exactly sure based on the schedule which one comes first, App.js or this episode, but either way, they're almost
Maybe we'll
complementary.
coordinate them and they'll happen at the same time. Gant can plug the podcast at App.js. The podcast can plug,
Well, I will warn you this. They tried to only give me 20 minutes on stage at App.js.
Hey, but you fought back, and
I did.
you got
I said,
your 30 minutes.
Got 30 minutes up there. I'm like, there's no way I could do what I want
You
to
were
do
trying
in
to
20.
you were trying to cram a lot of stuff into 20 minutes. It was not going to work.
It was not going to work.
Okay, I want to start by just setting the stage as like, why is it important that we're having some of these conversations in AI? And I think, the big one, kind of what this topic is mainly about is, governance around AI, right? Everyone, we all have push, force and can, cause damage along the way. And, and I've seen some AI, plug in some backdoor stuff. Like I saw one yesterday that did it had if you revoke your GitHub token, it will automatically do RM, tilde / and just get rid of everything and just completely wipe your machine. Like
evil.
It
That's
could,
wild.
Well, no, I like to change that phrasing, Robin. It's evil if you use it and choose to use it to do evil, right? But there's also
the person who wrote the kill switch into that bug was
bad
like,
person.
That's evil. That's
bad person, right? So I think AI is causing a lot of disruption in our space and how do teams work? We've had for so long everyone's figured out their way of working in a team and an environment with their own flow, whether it's waterfall or Kanban or insert agile, insert your flow here, right? So I guess with all that disruption, can you just kind of talk, what does it mean for agentic coding and how is it almost essentially flattening our teams?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's great about it is that we all have these superpowers, like you were saying, right? But just to the point that you were saying a moment ago with Robin is that a superpower doesn't turn you into a superhero. It can also equally turn somebody into a supervillain. And we're all getting these insane capabilities. And when everybody's pushing code, there's this new problem that's cropped up that didn't exist before, that it doesn't matter so much for us at Infinite Red because we're all staff level engineers. We can read all the code, and I don't think a single reputable person here would ever say it works, ship it, or say, hey, why'd you commit that code? Oh, that's because that's what Claude told me to do, right? It's there's another level beneath that where we have a care for the craft, but at the same time, you've got junior developers also ready to ship features and options at a light speed, looking to kind of get these visions of what the app could be. Somebody who understands the business logic can say, instead of talking to people and losing my idea through telephone, I can go through 50 iterations and then say, this is what I want. And that changed overnight because the gatekeepers are no longer who knows what the code is. And then we're all submitting code at the same time. And that's what you were saying, it makes it flat. Everybody's got master access. Everybody's got a skeleton key to every piece of it.
Would you say they have a master sword?
Yes, I would. To go with the dungeon analogies that go with perhaps finding a Triforce. So what I find is that we've got no longer the lines are drawn by just who has the knowledge and who has the capabilities. So we have to rethink this whole process together. What are the new lines that we want to draw? And you can't take the old systems and make it work with the new stuff because, the cuts are different. You have somebody come in here, they're doing a little bit of database work, they're doing a little bit of web work, maybe they're doing a little bit of back-end work to add this entire feature. And none of those are their main skill set. But what are you going to tell them? Hey, I know you've got this cool superpower. Don't use it, There are people who are using Claude, they're using Codex, they're coding every day and they're getting new systems. And to a single experienced developer who's been doing this for 20 plus years, this is amazing because, if you take a look at Night Shift with Jamin, where he's created an entire process where while he's sleeping, he has the AI working overnight to build entire features for him to come back and reprocess. And it's kind of you're not going to take that back. And what I keep telling a lot of people in AI is that cat doesn't go back in the bag. None of this does. But we do figure out is how we all have jobs, integrations, teams, collaboration to make this go forward.
All right. So we kind of set the stage for the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have this master sword. We can do a lot of damage with it. What is AI Triforce? Like,
Yeah.
what is the model and how does it solve the problem?
So I was working on a team project together, and the trick was we keep seeing this system that it can't just be one person. And I know right now we're going through this phase where it is one person. But, you know, you ask a gray beard like me, and you've seen this over and over again.
Yeah.
You've seen, you know, just back in the day, one person used to make a game. You know, or one small team started making a game, and now it's throngs of people are making games that all work together at one company. You had one person who would make a website. That'd be the webmaster.
The webmaster.
Yeah. And I was a webmaster for a couple of websites at the same time. And it's just, I remember I was good at some
But
parts.
now you have someone doing front end. You have someone building the server. You
Yeah.
have someone like worrying about all the different pieces of it.
It's such a, and we create new solutions to create new jobs with that. There's a UX engineer, there's QAs, there's all these cool things. You know, Facebook, the website, has over 70,000 people working there. That's a website that requires 70,000 people to run it.
Right. That's like one person whose job is to worry about like one particular piece of the selling tab inside Marketplace. Like,
right.
Like, it's so segmented now. And
it is.
It takes
and that's
a
how
team.
you get these amazing kind of effects. Like, you know, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. It's really cool because AI is in that go alone phase so much, you know.
Go alone. Take this.
Don't go. Yes, it's dangerous to go alone.
I can
Take
see
this.
why
I
you
love
chose
it.
to name it Triforce because the Zelda metaphors just
It's
keep
so
coming.
nice, right? So we were working on a project, and we're sort of cutting these into pieces and working on it. And then I started working with actually Mazen and Frank Calise, who works here at Infinite Red. And I said, I've got sort of an idea of how we can build this project where we all have a new cut, a new title inside that project. What if I'm focused on this, you're focused on that, another person's focused on this, and then now we work together? Well, it started to really blossom. We thought, was it 3 roles? Is it 5 roles? Is it, you know, what are the new ways that you cut this pie up? And the way we cut it up, it worked out really well. And what's great about it is when you're doing something, you've been coding by yourself, you're putting all these different hats on anyway. You have to stop for a minute and say, oh, the AI went off the tracks. You take off your sort of like product experience, right? You're thinking of this new feature. You're in this right mode. But then what do you have to do? You have to take that hat off, and then you have to go in there and you have to dig through the code, figure out why it broke, what went around the wrong hole, like it just screwed up everywhere, fix it. And then you have to sort of put guards in to make sure it doesn't break again. So you're doing QA, you're doing tests, you're doing regression, you're doing some integrity checks, you're locking down staging. So, and then you get back to being the person who's doing these features. Well, as you're going through each of these features, it can become a person's entire role. And that's what we did when we were kind of working on this project together. And it worked out, in my opinion, extremely well. And the more people I talked to about it, they seem to say, oh, yeah, I can see how that would work. And it makes you comfortable because you're back to knowing what your job is again, in a certain degree. You're in charge of keeping the integrity of the app, right? So that would be something like, oh, well, I know exactly how to do that. And so that gave us the 3 roles, the PXA, the IE, and the SE, which are the 3 parts of the Triforce.
Not Internet Explorer.
Well, not until we get to 6, and then we're thinking about switching it over. Yeah.
Okay, so what? So like these are the 3 roles, but like what does each one actually do, like day to day? Like say I'm like, yeah, I'm the IE, I'm the SE, whatever. What does my day to day actually look like?
I love that question. So we've been talking to a bunch of people internally, and then I'm really hoping to talk to even more people who listen to this episode. Hit me up on Twitter at Gant Laborde. And then also, if you're at App.js, I want to talk to you about that. Because I've talked to a ton of people about these roles. And while it's weird, it's new because you're like, oh, what is a UX engineer? Like, what do they do? And all this stuff. and this other experiences, and the roles in the common job place are explained to you and you understand them. Oh, what's a business analyst? What's this? We're kind of having that conversation with these roles. What does that fit under this person's job or that person's job? And it's kind of fitting cleanly into 3 different spots. So the PXA is the product experience architect. The person does not need to have a coding background, but they can. And it helps. The smarter the person is, the more organized they are. Of course, they're going to do better prompting. They're going to write better performing functions. They're going to get more out of Claude or whatever agent you're choosing. And what that person is doing is they're adding the features. They have the cards, either the Jira cards, or they have the structure of what needs to be built. And then they are slowly chewing through the system and adding those features into the app. Now, the PXA does not have the ability to do any kind of merges. They're creating more and more feature branches, making sure the experience is good, checking it out, and then adjusting it so that it actually fits the specs, or adjusting the specs so that they work together. But the PXA is just simply, to a certain degree, a really excellent vibe coder. It is like the most pejorative term I could give them. But like they're the person like bringing the features in, and they're keeping their head above the water to see like where things are going, what they need to hit. And so that's the first one. And then if you're looking at the triangle here of the Triforce, that's the one on top. They're seeing out there, but they're navigating towards that North Star of what the product should be. Now, the other 2 roles are equal roles underneath that really keep the maintainability of what's going on. And this is what I think is missing from most people out there on YouTube or things like that. You've seen the videos of like vibe coding versus vibe debugging. And the most expensive app you could have is like, one that absolutely falls over or sells somebody a car for $1 or it has to be pulled from the market or something like that. Like you can't have vibe coded code out there that's going to fall over or be messed up, because we don't fire ChatGPT and Claude. Right. We fire developers, right? So it has to be somebody's job, because we're moving fast and breaking things. The key thing that happens with moving fast is you need more guardrails. You need more protections. You need to check more. So the second role is the IE, which is the integrity engineer. The integrity covers everything, like from writing tests to locking down staging to verifying that the code is actually going to work in all the different environments on devices. Like they could pull it up. It's QA, security, and so much more all rolled into one. And the cool thing about it is your daily work. You were talking about like the daily work. They write it, you can either run a command or you can set things up and you just see what the PXA has done. And then those are your things to verify for integrity for the day. You're going through, you're checking it out. You're making sure they didn't ship the API keys, right? we didn't make any large mistakes that are going to crumble the system down. And then as they're going through, you're giving the pull requests, your blessing, and you are the gatekeeper to this thing, which so many people are letting AI run rampant, and it's rolling systems back.
Yeah, and I will say, like, when we're testing this out, me, you, and Frank. So you were taking the role of the PXA. Frank was taking integrity engineer, and I was systems engineer. We'll get to that later. But one thing I want to ask you, I kind of know the answer to it, but I kind of want to ask you, but for our audience and our listeners here, it's like the IE is doing a lot of stuff, right? The PXA is sprinting through things, just creating branch after branch after branch of features, cranking stuff out. But as things are piling up, and then the IE also, wants to make sure that quality code is going in and making sure we're not breaking the app and all that stuff, right? So it's going to take some time, right? Yeah. Realistically, unless it's a one-line change.
I mean, it's QA, it's security, it's accessibility, it's automated testing. It's a lot of things. Yeah.
How does, sounds like there's a big bottleneck here. How do you prevent that?
You know what? It's weirdly enough, it's not. Because here's what happens when we're creating components and screens and laying things out and making sure things work, there's a good bit of effort that goes into that process. It's nice that if like Claude could one-shot something but I find that what ends up happening is that people get in there, they're working on it, they hold it in their hand, they have feedback, and they probably go through a good PXA, really cares about the product experience, really cares about, hey, what's this happening here? And so they're spending a good amount of time on each of these tickets to make sure that they are active and good. But they're not thinking about, they're thinking deeply on that, which gives them a great job on it. But they're not thinking about the security or the integrity or whether or not it used the right flat list underneath there and all these other pieces. They don't have to think about that. Then I'll say that the IE, the integrity engineer, coming along, take a look at it. It's kind of nice because your work's laid out for you, right? It says like, here's the commits, here's the pull requests, here's what's going on. Your job is to really get in there. Did this new feature require new tests? Did this require new pieces to be added here? Did this, and I know you can have AI automatically add tests for you to a large degree, but let the IE do that. Let them talk to AI to say which features should happen, how deep the test should be. Let them focus on that, because when we focus on things, we create deep avenues in that. If you've got to keep changing hats, you're kind of one-thirding all of this. You're half-assing all of it. And if there is, in any case, for us, I didn't feel like there was a bottleneck for the IE. I almost felt like the IE was the fun role. It was the easiest of the roles. It was kind of fun to think of like, okay, how do I make sure this doesn't break now?
Right.
How do I stop it? Yeah.
It really separates like as a developer, writing your own bugs and then like trying to find your own bugs. Like it really separates it. And you can sort of like take the ego out a little bit.
Right. It's kind of
just
nice.
Like deep dive on like, okay, what are actually the specs for this feature? Like what does it need to do precisely? And like not sort of get tangled up with like what you actually built,
Yeah. And one other thing is like, I think of this as like a job role, as a hero class, as we call it in the Triforce. But what happens is if you did have a company where, let's say you had like 3 PXAs, maybe you need to hire, 4 or 5 integrity engineers to keep up with it. While we did it 1-to-1-to-1, the idea is that you would fill it in. So if you've got somebody who logs in and they're like, bro, I got 50 pull requests. All of these look like they're security nightmares. I'm going to have to process through all this. You've got to hire a new IE. I could see that being a future conversation that someone has at a company.
I feel like they could also specialize too, right? Like you could have an IE that's dedicated to accessibility or an IE that's dedicated to security or whatever it is.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'll say is this. If you have like your setup and sort of the governance files that we've been talking about, one of the great things that can happen there is we can take that file and put it towards a new project as well. There's a lot of reusability. So while you might be a company with one particular product, if you are a consulting company or you're working with a bunch of different companies, bringing your governance rules as an IE over from project to project just enriches it. It makes the soup taste better. Like we're cooking more and more with what happens. Just the other day, Jamin told me that he went off the rails on the IE, like the AI went crazy. And he came up with a way to put the headers in so that reference the correct files when generating in the future. And what he did was, when all I could hear when he was saying that is he had to put down his PXA hat and then he had to figure out how to make the AI work harder. But that could be something that the integrity engineer works into the process and brings to every project they work on future going forward in setting up the system and being ready to make sure that they don't have the security vulnerabilities or the problems that they could possibly have.
Yeah. And I think, talking about like putting in those headers and stuff like that, that's actually something that I've mentioned about building this app that I'm doing, kind of like to see how AI can build a whole app without me really interfering with it. And one thing I've been doing is I have been actually finding scenarios where I'm like, I keep talking to it and it's like, it's not working. It's not getting the the code where I want it to be, right? And this is probably like a integrity engineer's hat, like mentality, right? So I had my PXA hat on. I was like, hey, let's build out the settings screen. Here are the designs. I want to do X, Y, Z. And it goes back and forth and I have the pull request, but it doesn't quite work. So as the IE, I'm reviewing the pull request. I'm like, something's not right here. So what I do then is I actually manually pull down the code and I fix the file as I want it to. What I'm doing in those scenarios is I'm then putting in, you'll remember like in, I think Swift or Objective-C still does this, but like back in the day, PHP had those like comment block headers at the top, file created by Mazen Chalmi on so-and-so date and stuff like that. I'm actually doing that in my JavaScript, in my TypeScript files. And Claude and my AI knows, like in the MD files, I tell it like, hey, if you see a file that's, quote unquote, signed at the top by me, know that this file, I've gone in and manually written the code. Use that style moving forward. And I've actually seen it get better and understand it. So like the next time I came in as a PXA, I had less comments as an IE from there.
Yeah. I almost feel like, so that starts to bring us into what the SE is. Right?
Yeah, I was going to ask because like at this point, there's no more fun for the SE. And I was the SE at one point. I almost felt disconnected from things. But then as I figured out exactly where the role, where my quote unquote silo is, it made more sense. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the systems engineer, which Mazen played that part, I think they're more of the code owner. Like they care more. So the IE is worried about the systems, the integrity of the whole thing, making sure that they're not updating the JSON and breaking a bunch of API calls or stuff like that. But the SE really cares about the code quality, how things are set, that it's not shoving a bunch of state into a bunch of components that it shouldn't be, to speak in React Native terms, and that's following the standards to a large degree. But the SE is also the deep diver. When it gets broken, the person who can go through and check what's going on and get the AI out of the ditch, that is definitely the systems engineer. They are the person who could write all that code by hand in their sleep and be part of the process. And then they're one of the ones I say is probably the most useful in the pull request merging and identification of new tasks, because they're going to say, hey, PXA, I saw your code. This is good. But it's fine. I actually made a new task for myself, that, while I merged what you have here and I want you to keep moving forward, we really need to move these three code bases into one. Because one, it's going to keep the context clear for humans, which we always need to have it be human readable at some point. It also makes it context clear and uses fewer tokens for the AI. And it's going to make sure that there's no tech debt getting wrapped up and being pulled along. And I think that that's the most dangerous part, because while we're seeing all these cool things come with AI, people are not looking at the security. They're not looking at the tech debt. They're not looking at the bundle of unmanageable code that's ultimately moving forward, that might be consuming way more resources, way more energy, and way more setup, that it's going to be unmanageable going forward. The systems engineer has the ability to see into that. They have the X-ray vision. They have the ability to bring the code back together, and they're managing the tech debt along the process so that there's no huge bill at the end.
Yeah, this literally happened yesterday, right? You had a pull request. I merged it. I created an issue, and then I went in and it was a bunch of, Claude likes to do this a lot, where when it's building out a feature, it'll keep all the code within one file. Like it'll create a custom component, quote unquote, but like it'll keep that custom component in that file. It'll never export it out to be used somewhere else, right?
Right.
And I'm looking at the review and I'm like, wait, you're rebuilding this quote unquote row component in 4 files.
Yeah.
Why don't we just copy, paste it into its own file and reuse it that way, right? So I merged your pull request. I went in and I did all that cleanup, and then that got merged in. Same, we kept the same, our architecture stayed the same. Yeah. We just had better code quality improvements there. And at that point, I didn't have to be like, request changes on your pull request. Because, this is not a block.
Well, the PXA shouldn't even think about that. And that's great. Exactly. Because that's what's wonderful about it, is because they are really focused on making this experience correct, getting the pieces in place, making sure they function, making sure that they're set there. And when you're in that mindset, coming back and looking at code reusability is great when it used to take us a month to deliver a feature. But if we're looking at delivering that same feature as a team in a week, I'd love to break that up and then have me focus on one part, you focus on the other, another person focused on the last part. And then together we know that everybody did their part. We did it.
Mm-hmm. Does the SE also work with the PXA like prior to them starting, like helping
good
them
question.
like refine like the prompts that they're going to use and like maybe write specs to sort of set the AI in the right direction so there's not like rework?
Yeah, I think the SE is probably the most important person on the beginning of the project to set up the framework. What's the technology? What's everything that's going to be allowed in here, and what's set to go forward? Because otherwise, and you know, we're all developers here. We all understand the process, but there are moments where someone might bring in a library that we know is not further supported, or it might bring in a code base. And the problem is the SE setting up the initial guidelines, the sandbox to work in, is really awesome early on. So that way we're working inside the domain of the project where the SE can always be effective. Yeah, it's been a really fun set of conversations. I feel like I could, and we probably will, Mazen, when we're in Poland, talk to people about this for hours. But it's really a fun way of looking at things. Now, whether or not this is the way, whether or not these terms become real or they become the 100% this is the way it will happen, maybe not. I'm happy to roll with these until somebody way bigger than us with products or Claude themselves decides to ship something similar. But this is honestly where I think things are going. You need to have people in key spots because you have this sort of like the system that can hallucinate. It can be, there's a knowledge gap between us, and it could have all these different ways where it could go off kilter. Whereas in software, we get this hard stop. Oh, it doesn't run. Oh, it doesn't do this. But in here, you don't get that. So we need to create our own hard stops. We need our own red stops for the PXA when they say, look, I want to change the API. You know, let's do this and that. They should have, and this is what AI doesn't do well. It doesn't say, sorry, no, you're not allowed to do that.
It loves to say, absolutely, I'll do.
What a great idea! Selling pickles will make you a millionaire, right? Like, it's not a real good idea system there. But let it be, you know, obsequious. Let it be friendly, and then have it have these hard stops, which is honestly what we've put into the governance of the process. And then it says, look, you can't make this decision, because what you're doing might destroy the API. It might cause a bunch of backend changes to something that's not, you know, you're not allowed to do that on this staging server. You're not allowed to bring in Rust. Like, sorry, this is a React Native project. What are you doing? All right, you're not allowed to do that. Of course, these are ridiculous in some ways, but they're real also. Art imitates life. But, you know, having these places where you say, like, that's not your job. You can't do it. And then setting up a human conversation. Okay, why can't I do that? Well, you talk to the integrity engineer. They can approve it. They can go ahead and give you the go-ahead. Or they'll change it in a way that is approvable inside this project. And that's the other person's job, that they know why they got to say no. In teams, we're got to have barriers. And I love what Frank did when he started using Triforce internally. He says, this reminds me of the early days of using TypeScript. He was like, this is really cool. It's stopping me, but I know why.
Yeah.
And that's a good process. I want it to stop. Now, it does hurt when you know how to do everything. And then you so there are systems to override between us, because we made sure of that. But you have to take off your hat, and you have to do a branch that's for an IE or an SE to come back into it. Otherwise, the AI is not going to let you go.
Do you think the old gods are dead? Like,
yes,
the old the traditional titles, senior engineer, QA lead, product manager, are a thing of the past, or will be soon.
100%. It's because nobody's going to say, hey, here, armed with AI, you know, just focus on this portion. I think that what happens is, to add a feature, you have to touch across these boundaries. Now, you couldn't do it a long time ago. There was just, you couldn't. Either you didn't have the keys to it, or you didn't have the knowledge. There's a person who really understood the back end and you let them take care of that. There's a person who really understood what part. But as you're adding features now, you're watching, a fast food worker pop out an MVP in a weekend with the idea, and that's doing a backend. It's loading up Supabase. It's grabbing AWS services. It's doing the designs. It's doing the code. Those old lines of who could do what, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Where it really makes sense is we have to draw these new lines where you're kind of expected to know a lot of different things and know how to bring them together.
So where do you see this going? Right now, it's sort of a decision framework. It's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see it going? Is it possible to build, do you see building maybe some sort of tool to help implement this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see like being an AI Triforce evangelist? Where do you see this idea going in the next couple of years?
Touring the nation, preaching AI Triforce.
Yes, right. Have you heard of our Lord and Savior AI Triforce?
And Nintendo is just following along behind you, being like,
just wagging their finger. It's fine. They're not going to be mad till I get to Japan anyway. So
there you go.
One of the things I found is that thinking this way has already helped out our team in some aspects, because you will be working with so many of our clients already utilize AI, and they're already feeling some of these pain points.
Mm-hmm.
So internally, we've had Steve and Josh help us creating a system with the governance to automatically add to the project, which is amazing. But now, they were working on it and then they had to go onto a client project. We've already gotten suggestions on how some of these features could be very helpful for the client, because they're not showing up with, there's no system out there. There's no prescribed theory on how people can all work together with agentic coding. It's sort of like we're still breaking it into small pieces that they were and then delivering them like we were before. It would be really cool if we can show and utilize this for people, and if they want to start using it. Like I said, I'm not going to cling to this with my cold dead hands. I think it's a great idea, but
as we know, the world keeps changing every 3 weeks.
It sure does. It sure does, but it sure rhymes, it doesn't, it's not the same thing, but it rhymes. Because, Jamin came up with Flame CLI, which is we were calling it recipes before, as a way to sort of apply AI to certain characteristics.
Yeah.
And then you start to see skills, coming out. It's like, okay, well, skills back then, 2 years earlier, was an idea that we had with these recipes and using different parts of it. Don't get me wrong, the world might not utilize these terms, but it sure as hell is going to rhyme.
Familiar.
100%.
Yeah. And I think this is not, this is a React Native podcast, right? But this is not React Native specific. I think you could be building a Flutter app, dare I say, you could use this framework, right?
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
How dare you utter the F word on this podcast?
Right. And I think I kind of want to highlight something.
We should really beep that out. Sorry. that would be hilarious.
Yeah. One thing I want to highlight, what Gant said, is he's not going to go out and evangelize using this. I think every team, as with, what workflow you want to use, every team makes the right decision for themselves. But if you are heavily using AI and you want some sort of, governance, checks and balances along the way, this works. We use it. I know we use it on only one project so far internally, but that project worked. It's building a full-fledged app that, not only is a front end, but also has a back end feature to it. Gant will demo this at some point. I won't spoil where and when and how. But it works, right? So it all depends on, do you want those checks and balances within your team? And one person could wear all three hats. It's slow. Right?
I do not recommend. I would have disliked that. I really don't like working on things alone. And one of the things is, it really was nice to know that I didn't have to worry about each piece. It was really cool. And I want to say, what the result is something at I would say at my standards for a mobile app, knowing mobile apps, working on them back from native all the way through to now. It's got 200 tests. 10 Maestro tests. It's got, all the features have been looked through and made efficient. The code base has been normalized. It's got all the things that I would expect from a professional application. Like, we did everything to standard, and as a team, that's the success for me.
Well, I think that's all the time that we have right now.
Oh.
One thing I will mention, again, I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
This is always fun, y'all. Y'all are fun.
Yeah, agreed. One thing I will mention, do check out the show notes. We will have the article linked in here, so you can kind of check it out and read more for yourself. But like, as Gant mentioned, reach out to him if you have any questions about it, if you want any clarification on it. And if you happen to be going to App.js, Chain React, KCDC, potentially any other conferences that we mentioned we'll be at, come see us and we'll talk more about it. Or just even reach out to work with Infinite Red and see how this could be used on your project. I think that would be a cool thing within it. Well, again, thanks, Gant, for coming. This was 2 for 2. Hopefully we can make it 3 for 3 episodes.
Yes.
We'll see.
I love it. I love getting
Gant
invited
has to
here.
go back to his real job.
Oh, no. No!
Well, as we're heading out, Robin, do you have a mom joke for us?
I have a fun one. This is posted by Darren. Why do C, Java, and Rust programmers need to get new keyboards all the time?
Why?
Their languages are strongly typed.
Yep. I'm glad they left out C++.
See you all next time.
All
All
right.
right, bye.
Bye.
As always, thanks to our editors, Todd Worth, Tyler Williams, and Jed Bartosky, our marketing and episode release coordinator, Justin Husky, and our guest coordinator, Mazen Chami. Our producers and hosts are Jamin Holmgren, Robin Hines, and Mazen Chami. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check us out at infinite.red/radio. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe to React Native Radio on all the major podcasting platforms.